Hello and welcome to the Rewind, where we dive into the making and legacy of various films from cult classics to award-winning masterpieces. Today's movie is Bridesmaids. It's a 2011 comedy that stars Kristen Wiig as a woman who experiences a series of misfortunes after being asked to serve as a maid of honor for her best friend, played by Maya Rudolph. Directed by Paul Fieg, written by Annie Mumolo and Kristen Wiig, produced by Judd Apatow. Bridesmaids was a huge hit when it came out and really kind of ushered in a kind of like a new era of comedy, especially for female comedians. It really brought to the fore kind of like the whole women in comedy debate, which I found to be very silly, but probably worth something to talk about today. Talking all things Bridesmaids with me today is Tanya Rich, is an actor, comedian, writer whose recent work on Instagram, where even a corkscrew and a whisk can conjure laughs, has really brought to the fore the creative comedic talent that Tanya has in spades. I'm so glad that Tanya, you joined me today. How are you?
Thank you. What an intro. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm so excited to be on your show.
I am too. I remember when this movie came out. So it was 2011 when it came out. So this year will be 15 years since the movie came out, which is just crazy to
Mm,
think about.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we were in the midst of this kind of like what I call kind of like the last great era of American comedy cinema. When you think
Yes.
about it from, say, 2005 to around 2015, so this movie falls kind of like in the middle there. You have the films of Adam McKay and Will Ferrell in Anchorman, Talladega Nights, and Step Brothers. You
Step
got
Brothers.
movies like
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers, Tropic Thunder, The Hangover, Superbad. Then you got the Judd Apatow stuff. 4-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and then as a producer, you got Bridesmaids as well. And it's funny when it's happening, you kind of take it for granted, but looking back on it now, considering especially how comedy has gone more streaming, not so many comedies in movies
Mm,
anymore, it's something that I think we took for granted. And I was really glad that were able to live through that stuff and see a movie like Bridesmaids flourish because it was just a great time for American comedies, I think.
yeah. And it was a great time for an all women cast as well. Like you said. Yeah. Mm.
And what's interesting about when I just listed all those movies, probably the only movie that had a female lead was Knocked Up. And that's it,
Yeah, you're right.
Kristen Heigl. It was a big debate around the time about women in comedy, etc. Right? To me, it's all
Mm,
about what's the material like. That's all that matters to me. And I
mm,
think the problem wasn't ever like, well, women can't be funny. That's a stupid nonsense. But the problem was that
mm.
it was an opportunity for that to happen. And so this kind of does that, right? What do you think
Mm.
Bridesmaids did, you think, to like just this comedy scene in general, especially on movies, in regards to women comedians? I mean, it just opened up the floodgates a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what? The thing about Bridesmaids is that it's not only an all-female cast, but it's an all-female cast that are not um, sex symbols.
Hmm.
Because generally speaking, if you've got an all-female cast, it's something like in that kind of era as well, that kind of year. Um, you've got, like the Charlie's Angels kind of thing. I know I'm comparing a comedy to a not comedy, but you have a group of females that aren't the script is not based around uh how do I explain it, like sexiness, if
Right.
that makes sense. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean. It's not a sex symbol movie. It's a comedy movie, and it's based on how they um how they are as people. We're seeing women as people, not as sex symbols, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Well, Kristen Wiig said in an interview back then, she said that they wanted to write a comedy, not a female comedy, a comedy that
Mm,
has a lot of women in it, and that's the difference. It's just a movie with women in it. It has nothing to do with stereotype, for example. Like a lot of the things you were just saying, Dan, is that usually if there will be the female element in a movie like that, it might be the love interest, it might be
yes.
the vixen, it might be the dopey kind of whatever, that's kind of like the
Yeah.
things that are kind of pigeonholed there. What is the
Yes.
movie is just about a bunch of mates, really, and
Yes.
trying to get
Exactly. It's
together
got
to this
depth.
big moment. Exactly, it has depth, and
Yes.
I think what's really
Yeah.
interesting about it is that it's written by Wig and she and her best mate, Annie Mumolo. So
Mm.
her and Kristen Wiig, they knew each other back in the time when they did Groundlings together. So Groundlings is like this really like established Los Angeles-based kind of comedy troupe, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
came
Okay.
from there, from Bill Hader to
Yeah.
Conan
Right.
O'Brien. So that's where they met. They met there. And the
Yep.
thing about Wiig especially is that how this movie kind of got off the ground is that I was mentioning Judd Apatow. So she was in Knocked Up. She had a very brief kind of moment, but kind of like almost scene stealing, where she plays this really
Mm,
passive aggressive TV exec. And so
mm,
Judd Apatow's the director of that movie, and
mm,
he says to her, I really like what you're doing. She was in Saturday Night Live, of course. It's like, if you have any ideas, bring it to me. And that's where she goes to a friend, Anna Mumolo, and they're like,
mm,
we got an opportunity to kind of make something here. And
mm.
so they'll actually get together, and they will, when she's working on Saturday Night Live, sure on the weekends they'll get together. They'll go on weekends and do table reads and do all these kind of stuff and kind of work on these kind of on this script. And what's really cool about the script as well is that the center of it is about friendships, but it's also kind of like based
Mm.
on Wig was living in New York. Her career was everything. Mumolo decided to get married, have kids, and she was living in Los Angeles. So it's kind of like two distinct things going on between them. And that kind
Mm.
of fed into the script a bit, where you see Maya Rudolph's character going through a life change and Wig's character kind of like just being kind of like this bachelorette kind of thing. It's really
Yeah,
cool how kind of like they got the real life stuff and kind of
yeah,
integrated. That's where the death comes from. And I think that's really cool.
absolutely. That's where the best writing comes from, is when you take it from your personal life. And the
So
and the
go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, she appears. You obviously know this. She appears in the plane scene where where Annie is sitting next to the other passenger, and
Right.
she has a freak out along with
Yes.
her. Yeah, yeah,
That's right. She's in coach and everyone's else in first class. So her mate,
yeah,
very cool. All right,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
What's really interesting about the script as well that they're working on is that so Apatow was like, kind of like the big mover, shaker, kind of like producing guy for comedies especially. And
Mm,
he really had to encourage Wig to make her part more funnier because Wig was doing the straight person a little too much in the script. So a lot of
okay,
the time she was giving away the best jokes to everyone else. But she was
okay.
like leaving nothing for herself. So Apatow was kind of like, no, no, you're the lead here. We got to get you. You got to be
Yeah,
cooking. We need to see you cook on screen. And it's
yeah,
really interesting
yeah,
though how she kind of deferred herself in that way. Because I'd imagine that if you're
yeah.
writing your own comedy, you want to give yourself the best stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting.
So Paul Feig, he's the director of this movie. Again, it goes back to Apatow. So did you ever see the show Freaks and Geeks? It's an American show that was kind of popular.
I've seen a couple of episodes of it. Yep, yep.
So Apatow and Paul Feig, that's where they come from, that kind of place there. So they were
Yeah,
mates.
right.
And so Feig signed on as director. Um, so he was saying that back in before the movie was greenlit back in 2010, he said that there was an edict in Hollywood where a lot of people were going, okay, this is a movie starring a bunch of women. If this works, we'll greenlight more, and if it doesn't, we won't. And so he was feeling the kind of pressure as like, this is kind of like a lot of things are riding on this. It's not just this movie in particular, but what will come
Mm,
afterwards. And I
mm,
always find that kind of interesting how sometimes it just takes one movie or to kind of like start like something afterwards. And I imagine that kind of
yep.
pressure, some people like to work under pressure. I don't know, but it's really interesting, don't you think, how like sometimes it takes one movie to kind of like start like a thing afterwards. And I think Bridesmaids definitely
Start a
did that
movement.
for female
Oh,
comedy especially.
absolutely. Yeah, they definitely paved the way. I think they paved the way for, like I was saying before, I find it such every time I watch the movie, it's all I can think about is how great the script is without having any of the lead characters be this stereotypical sex symbol, like a lot of, movies with females in it are, like I was saying. But they just really focused on the script and the comedy of the characters. And, it has so much heart as well. And what I find interesting as well with the movie is that it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, you have the same life experiences throughout your entire lifespan. I find that really interesting and not funny, but it's funny and not funny in a ha-ha way. But what age is she playing in the movie? What,
I think
40,
she's getting almost 30. I think that's why she's going to get a little bit of a almost like quarter life crisis thing going
quarter
on, I
life
think.
crisis? Yeah, when she
Yeah.
has to move with her mum, um and she's lost her business and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's just really interesting, that every single person has the same life problems, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Losing friendships, um, having fights with your best friend. Yeah, it's just, something that comes to mind when I watch it. Mm.
And the thing about Kristen Wiig's character of Annie is being involved with like a guy like John Hamm's character, who's like this really conceited kind of rich guy, just pretty much
Yeah.
there to have like oh, I wouldn't even call it friends with benefits, just like a hookup kind of
Mm,
thing. And it's funny
mm,
because the first thing that you see in the movie is this sex scene between her and John Hamm. And again,
yeah.
it comes back to, even though it's a sex scene, it's incredibly comedic, just in a way that
Yes.
Kristen Wiig kind of plays it, because she's so great at doing. I mean, number one, she's incredibly witty. She's a great impressionist and all
Mm.
that. But I think the
Oh
way
my
she does
God.
stuff physically is something that's really underrated with her. And she does such a great job, especially in those scenes. Just some
Oh
of the
yeah.
facial expressions and stuff that she
Yeah.
does. The walk of shame afterwards, where she tries to climb over the gate and the
Yes.
gate opens up.
Yeah.
That's just brilliant stuff. I
Yeah.
love it.
It is. Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is the aeroplane scene where she's taken a few Valium or whatever and she has oh, it's just hilarious what she does. Oh, when she's all doped up.
I always
Comedy
quote
gold.
that. I quote that all the time my wife and I need to go somewhere. I'm always like, I'm ready to party. You
Party.
know, she
Yeah,
does that. What's
yeah,
that Liza
yeah.
Minnelli impression is it that she's doing
Yeah,
there, I
yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's
it is my best friend and I's highest quoted movie of all time. We quote that. I reckon we quote this movie on a daily basis.
I think that's a sign of a great comedy as well. If you're
Yes.
quoting a lot of those lines in it, like my favorite comedies that like just sort of top of my head,
Mm.
this is Spinal Tap, Ghostbusters,
Yeah,
Anchorman, this movie,
yeah.
Bridesmaids. Um, Quote centric throughout it all. And you can take quotes and you could do different things with it. Like I sometimes I even
Absolutely.
like my wife and I would do the thing where it's going back to the airplane scene
Yeah.
where Kristen Wiig is kind of like looking at Rose Byrne. She kind of mimics her. It's like, oh, do you?
Yeah.
Do you
Do
really? Yeah.
you? Oh, yeah, yeah. I love
It's
that.
great stuff. I mean, that's what it is. I think if you can quote it afterwards, I think it's a winner for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the cast here. So we talked Kristen Wiig. Of course, she's playing the lead of Annie Walker. So yeah, I have to find a Lillian Donovan. Now, this is
Mm,
really interesting because Maya Rudolph, you think would be like it's just shooing, like she got the part straight away. She actually wasn't
mm.
the first person up for the part. It was other people read for the roles. One of the people is Mindy Kaling, who was on The Office,
Yeah,
the US
right.
Office and all that. She
Yeah.
actually said that she auditioned for it, and she really wanted to do it, but she unfortunately
Mm.
didn't get it. Judy
Yeah.
Greer was supposedly attached to it as well because she played a lot of kind of like best friends in a lot of comedies
Yeah.
as well, but she didn't get that
Yeah.
either. So it does
Yeah.
end up going to Maya Rudolph. And
Mm.
so that was he actually worked out really well. Paul Feig said it was kind of like a no-brainer because, and of course it is
Yeah.
because her and like Wig and Rudolph knew each other
They've
from Saturday Night Live, right?
SNL and yeah, they worked together for so long. Mm.
And so having that connection there between them, again, going
Yeah.
back to the depth and the authenticity that between them, you can see it on the screen because it just works so well. Not to
Yeah, the
mention the
friendship.
fact that Maya Rudolph is an incredibly accomplished comedian and actress in her
Mm.
own role. Um,
Mm.
and so the thing about Maya Rudolph, you said that she read the script again. She said that she knew Kristen's voice so well and she loved
Mm.
her writing and take on things. And she just thought it was just really great because it was, again, fleshed out characters. It wasn't
Mm.
stereotype. It wasn't like all these little like typical kind of roles you have. It's like these are like real kind of people.
The
And you could
real
tell just the way
woman.
they talk
Mm.
to each other. You could just, I just love
Mm.
that. It was a great casting there.
Absolutely. And another movie that just came to mind, which I assume came after Bridesmaids, was Wine Country. Have you seen Wine Country?
No, I think that came out
Oh,
2018. Yeah, I know about it though.
right,
Yeah.
right. Brilliant, brilliant. Same kind of premise, but it works so well. It's just solely based on the characters and the writing and the humor of the interactions and the relationships between the women.
So
Mm.
Paul Feig said that even though the script was really funny, he actually highly encouraged improvisation throughout the film
Oh,
because he
yes, a
knows.
lot of it.
I mean, if you have a cast like
Mm.
that, and you especially
Yeah,
coming from background, the Groundlings, SNL, all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
you got gold there, right? You just let them go, let them
Oh,
cook,
yeah.
as the kids say these days, right?
Yeah, you let them go. The scene where they're in the jewelry shop with Annie and the younger teen,
Yeah.
that apparently was completely 100% improvised, and they let them go for about 10 minutes. And then the result from what you see on screen is just them cutting a few bits out of this 10-minute improv. It's just brilliant.
The Matt's Movie Reviews YouTube channel is brought to you by TeePublic. TeePublic is the world's largest marketplace for independent creators to sell their work on the highest quality merchandise. With over 1.2 million designs, T Public is sure to have something you'll love. Also, the scene at the start, near the start of the film, where it's Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph at the in a coffee shop.
The coffee, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do the
Yeah.
impression of a penis, the
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. A lot
Oh,
of it was improv, wasn't it?
that's awesome. I mean, I think that's just
Yeah.
really good stuff. Because I talked
Yeah.
to, you've been in the game for a long time, and I've talked to a lot of filmmakers, and when they say casting makes up for everything, I think this is one of those films that is like an essential example of that.
100%, 100%. Because you've got to have the slightly unhinged character. You've got to have the grounded character. You've got to have the crazy drunk character, which is I forgot her name. And I just all of them. I just remembered the character of oh my god, I forgot her name from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy.
Um, yes, of course, yes. Oh
She
God,
plays
what
a
a
role of
role.
Megan Price. So this is
Megan,
really
that's
interesting
it.
because this is a movie that not only did it kind of establish kind of like guilt, like comedic women as comedic forces on film throughout the 2010s. It made stars out of people. I
Yeah,
think the biggest star it made out of this is definitely Melissa McCarthy,
Melissa.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
who is excellent in his movie as Megan Price. Again, wasn't the first person to audition for this role, as other people came in.
Yeah.
Busy Phillips, who was an
Oh,
actress who was on Freaks and Geeks as well.
yep.
She auditioned for it. Rebel Wilson actually auditioned for that role as well, but she
Yeah,
ended up getting the role of the roommate instead.
yeah,
And then it came to Melissa McCarthy, who was on the show Mike and Molly. I think it was a
yeah,
sitcom that she was on at the time, but she
yeah.
got into it. And it's really interesting how we were talking before how like you had that drunk one and the grounded
Mm.
one and all that. There's a physical aspect to some of these movies as well, where sometimes you got to have like the heavy set friend, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it was something that was the character was never written that way. They just
yeah.
cast Melissa because she was the best for the role.
Mm.
But at the same time, it was never anything that was kind of like spoken of as well when they're doing it. She actually said that. Um,
Okay.
she actually said it's unusual that you're a heavy woman in a comedy that's not used as a punchline either. It never comes up in it. In fact, out of
No.
all the people in the movie, she's the
Mhm.
most confident, reassured one out of all of them.
Yeah,
She's the one
absolutely.
who actually grabs Annie and like gives her like a little talkie to, like, come to Jesus
Yeah,
moment, right?
yeah.
Um,
And it's normally
and
the other way around, isn't it?
it is right, and he's like
Wow,
the
isn't that?
perfect one, right? So then
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's just
Mm.
terrific, and it goes to show just how much of a force she was comedically, and she
Yeah.
also got nominated for an Oscar for it as well.
Oscar, yeah, yeah. Just brilliant. So well deserved. And she was really stripped back as well. She had no little to no makeup on. And that was
Yep.
the first time that I'd seen her with barely anything because I knew her from Gilmore Girls.
Right.
And totally different character in that and made up and and the hair and yeah, I just thought that is brilliant. Yeah, strip her right back. Yeah.
During an interview with Conan O'Brien, she said that she based her like character, like looks wise, on the
Mm.
celebrity chef Guy Fieri. I don't know if you if you remember him. He was a guy.
No,
He
but
did the cooking show, TV dives, something like that. But
okay.
he's got like he had spiky hair. He had like this thin goatee. He kind of like wore kind of
Yeah.
like so. She kind of like took all his stuff. How he put. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed in the movie. She has the sunglasses on. Like, but when she puts it on her head, it's
Yes.
facing the other way. So the
Yes.
lens is right the other way. She took that from him. The way that she dressed all the time. I
Right.
don't know if you noticed the dresses like she got from
Masculine.
him. She wanted to take it so far that she wanted to actually cut her hair and spike it, and they said no, no,
Yeah, right.
let's keep it back. But that's someone who like
Yeah.
really they really went for, like that was like her person that she was kind of going after. And
Oh,
again, going back to the airplane scene, which I think you
mm.
and I agree is probably like the best scene in the movie. That's her
Yeah.
husband there as the air
Yeah.
marshal
The Air
as well.
Marshal. Yeah. 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 They've done a few movies together. Tammy, I think they're in Tammy together. That is one of yeah, God, that's one of my favorite comedies actually, now that I think of Melissa. But her husband plays the manager of the fast food restaurant that she works at,
And
if
he
you've
he
seen it.
directed it as well. I'm pretty sure he
He
directed that
directed
one.
it, did he? Ah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. There you go. Yep.
And I think
Yep.
they did. What was the other one they did? Not Tammy. The Boss Lady, I think it was called, the one
Well, yeah, I haven't seen that.
me either, but I think he directed that as well, but I'm not 100%. Oh, it was either that or
Yeah.
Identity Thief, one of those two. I think he
Identity
directed one of those
Thief. I
two as
love
well,
that movie. Yeah,
with Jason
yeah,
Bateman. Yeah. So
yeah.
like, and again, she became a big star from this movie.
Mm,
Another
mm,
person who became a big star as well, Rose Byrne, which is really funny because
yeah,
when you're like, we grew up watching Rose Byrne, right? Because we're Aussies,
yeah,
we've seen her on TV all this time, Two Hands, what have you. She kind of
yeah.
broke through in the American market being on that show Damages with Glenn Close.
I
So
haven't seen that. No.
it was kind of big for like a hot minute. It was like for around 3 seasons or
Yeah,
so. Very much kind of like a
yeah,
legal thriller, kind of like very intense kind of show.
yeah.
But I never thought to myself, Rose Byrne, comedic actor, until I saw
I
this
know.
movie. Which I think she's great. I like, for me, my favorite performance of all of them is
Mm,
what Rose does in this movie. Because while
mm,
everyone else has kind of like a comedic background and stuff, she like, I
mm,
never saw that coming from her. And she plays that role of Helen, the role of Helen, which is the best, not the other best friend, I'd say, but kind of like the other mutual friend that is part of the
mm,
bridesmaids party. Um,
mm.
I think she just does a great job in it. And Paul Feig actually said that the reason she was chosen to play is because he
Mm.
actually wanted someone who wasn't a funny person, because they thought that if a funny person played that role, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, that they'll try to be too arc with it, too villainous with it, maybe to go too over the top with it. And they thought
Yeah,
Rose, coming from a dramatic stance, if she
yeah,
took it seriously,
yeah,
the seriousness of her doing that and
yeah.
being in conflict with the different styles, especially Kristen Wiig, would just mesh so well, and it does.
But it's very based in real characterization. It's like exactly like you just said. It's not over the top. It's not villainous. It's very natural. And we all know someone like that. Mm,
She said as well that she had several Helens in her life. And she said that so there was something very familiar about her and very formidable
mm,
about her. And so she got asked
mm.
for audition and she kind of played those people that she knew. And again, it comes
Yeah,
back to the authenticity of it all. And I think
yes.
that's again why something like this lasts the way it does. There's so many
Mm,
other people in this movie as well. You got Wendy McLendon Covey as Rita. That's the bridesmaid who's married and has kids. Remember, she's got the teenage boys who masturbates
yes.
everywhere. You know, crack the
Yeah.
blanket. You know, if you
Yeah,
remember that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Um,
That's really
Ellie Kemper as Becca. Chris O'Dowd as well as in the movie. John Hamm we mentioned as well. Fantastic cast throughout this movie.
mm,
The production for this film began in 2010. So again, we talked about the whole improvisation thing. Um,
mm,
Another improv part in the movie was the part between Rose Byrne and Kirsten Wiig, the toast at the engagement
mm,
party, where they're going
mm,
back and forth.
mm.
So they just let them loose. I think there's actually on the DVD, I think maybe the Blu-ray I have, there's a extended scenes of just them two just
Yeah,
going at it back and forth.
really.
Yeah, so it's like, and it's really
Wow.
cool because on one end you got Kirsten Wiig coming from this, comedic background, and then the
Yeah.
other end you got Rose Byrne coming from this drama background. And
Yeah.
even though I'm sure the training is similar, but the places that they're
Yeah.
coming from, they're doing are different. But it's kind of like
Yeah.
almost like kind of like the battle between drama and comedy on the screen. It's like,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes a big thing there.
Absolutely. Yeah, well put. And the scene at the bit, sorry, in the scene where she speaks Thai, she says this Thai sentence. Apparently that was all just made up, but they loved it so much they kept it in. I
I
just
love
think
it.
that's genius.
It is
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
So the movie was budgeted at 32.5 million. Now this part's kind of interesting. I don't know if you picked it up. I know I didn't. So they shot it in Los Angeles,
Mm,
but the movie was actually set in Chicago and Milwaukee.
hmm.
Now I've seen a lot of movies like set in Chicago. They use kind of like the city, especially there's a certain architecture and stuff and that they do. They don't
Yeah.
really do that here. But it never felt like I was watching something that was set in the East Coast. I thought it was an LA movie every time I was watching it. But I never been to LA. You've been to LA,
Yeah.
haven't you? You did some
I
acting
have.
over there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I lived in LA for about 6 months. Yeah.
Did
Went to
when you were watching it, did it feel like an LA movie to you, or did you kind of get what they were going from, like trying to do something more East
yeah.
Coast?
Yeah, I never felt like it was LA. Because there was something about the street that the streets that they were walking down before they stop at her old cake shop that
Right.
didn't feel LA to me, which was good.
Very good. That's just me, though. That's my ignorance
Oh
coming
no,
to the fore. Then. No, no,
no, but
because
I've never.
yeah. Like, because I've
Yeah.
never been, so
Yeah.
I've a place that, and I've never been
Yeah.
to the US at all. So yeah, for me,
Yeah.
I did not pick it up. But it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting how back in 2011 people were still shooting in Los Angeles, because it seems like these days everyone shoots anywhere but Los Angeles and tries to make it look like Los Angeles.
Yeah. True. That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
So 32.5 million. So the
Mm.
worldwide gross for this was $306.5 million.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
like 10 times the what the budget was, which is kind of crazy. It
Yeah.
became actually surpassed
Mm.
Knocked Up to become the top grossing Judd Apatow Productions film to date. We talked about the Academy Awards, Melissa McCarthy. We got some supporting actress nom. Kristen Wiig in Mimolo was a best original screenplay nomination as well.
Yeah.
Maya Rudolph, when she was doing promotion for the movie, you're talking about Wine County. She was asked in an interview whether when they were making the film, they thought they kind of had anything in the can that was like could be as big as it was, and
Yeah.
they said that they had no expectations about what they were doing. They're just making a movie. They weren't making a
Yeah.
women movie. They weren't doing anything. We're just making a
Mm.
story with women in it. And so the
Mm.
perspective they were coming from is that, you know, it's cool that we're doing all this together. We feel like we're making a great movie, but
Mm.
never in their wildest dreams would they think that a movie like that will make $300 million. And to me, I think sometimes the market kind of just dictates how big a movie's
Yeah.
going to be. Sometimes
Yeah.
people are just starved for something, and I think at that time,
Mm.
especially after all of the kind of movies I mentioned before, the comedy movies, was mostly
Mm.
male ensembles and male
Yeah.
leads. They
Yeah.
felt just right for a movie like that to pop, especially with those talent in the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a really kind of something that the market really dictated and said, you know what, we're ready for this, we want this, we're
Yeah.
starved for this, and we got it as well.
It was so needed and it came at the right time. Mm.
So there's an article I saw was talking about the bridesmaid effects. So the movies that came afterwards.
Hmm.
So the movies that came afterwards are kind of interesting. So you have Paul Feig doing some more of his stuff. So with Melissa McCarthy, especially
Mm.
Spy, the movie he did with
Hmm.
Rose Byrne, Ventura again, which I think was
Hmm.
fantastic. And they even got Jason Statham to do a comedy part in that, which was great.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Heat with Sandra Bullock, and again Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Again, you
That was
got
good.
Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. Sisters
Oh,
with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, Bad
yes.
Mums with Mila
Yeah.
Kunis and a lot of people there, Girls Trip
Yeah.
with a lot of people there, Tiffany
Hmm.
Haddish I think was in there, Regina King. It's like all of these great movies that kind of came afterwards as well.
Mm.
But what we didn't get was a Bridesmaids sequel, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny to me. So I did a whole bunch of research looking into this
I did too.
because to me, I thought if ever a movie could have had a sequel, it could have been that one. Because while Annie's character what's it called, was going through this thing. Wouldn't it be great if like a sequel was like Annie was getting married and maybe the other characters got to be a bride,
Great
the maid
idea.
of honor or something, or
Yep.
maybe yeah, I don't know. There's so much you could go, but it never really happened. Was it a surprise to you that we still haven't seen this even 15 years later?
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I researched it as well. And Annie, Kristen Wiig apparently said there's never going to be a sequel because the
Mm,
story has been told.
yes, exactly right.
Which,
And
yes, it has, but you're right. It would be funny. I mean, maybe Maya Rudolph's character is getting divorced. And it's like, like, or that might be
yeah.
pushing the envelope a bit too much.
But there's ways you can go. So I had two ideas. So one of them is that Annie is getting married, Maya is getting divorced. So again, you got two people in different
Yeah,
ends of the relationship spectrum, where one's life
yeah,
is kind of like the one who had it all, her life's falling apart, and the one who had
absolutely.
nothing, her life is coming up. Another idea I had, which would be pretty cool, I think, is that Annie gets married, but instead of asking Maya to be her maid of honor, she asks
Yeah,
Melissa McCarthy's character to be her maid of honor.
yeah,
And then that
yeah.
causes a conflict as well. Because, like I
God,
said in the movie, Melissa McCarthy really kind of grabs Annie and kind of puts her back into line. What if, like,
yeah.
her being like, she becomes like a real strong role model, kind of mentor, friend to her. And
Mm,
because of that
mm,
closeness they had, when Annie gets married, she chooses,
mm,
that character above Maya Rudolph, like her old friend. Maybe they haven't been in touch
yeah,
for a while. Maybe Maya's
yeah.
character had a few kids and they just didn't talk
Mm,
like they used to. There's possibilities
mm,
there that could happen. But like you
absolutely.
said, Kristen Wiig didn't want to do it. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by Amazon Prime Video. one of the best on-demand streaming services available. Amazon Prime Video features exclusive Amazon originals as well as popular movies and TV shows. Watch Amazon Prime Video anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Universal wanted to do it. They wanted to do
Did
it like
they?
a year after. So
Oh,
Universal actually went up to Wig and they said that we really want to do this, and she's like, I'm not interested. So the head of
mm,
Universal, Ron Meyer, actually took Kristen Wiig out to dinner in New York to see if he could change her mind. He
mm.
even dangled an eight-figure payday before her, and she still said no, didn't want to do it.
Wow.
It's actually a bit of a conspiracy is that one of the reasons why she said no is that she was kind of upset on behalf of her co-stars that they were overwhelmed with a $100,000 bonus for each of them. So even though the
Oh,
film made 10 times as much money, they only got
yeah.
$100,000 each afterwards. And so because of that low
What?
sum that was given to him, Wig was like, well, that's kind of shitty. We made this movie. And I imagine like maybe she's thinking, if I was a guy who did this, maybe, I'll get some more points at the back end, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the reasons why she said no as
The
well.
cast got paid $100,000
Yeah, well,
for
they
that
got paid
movie.
as they got paid, just confirm, they got paid as an additional $100,000 as a bonus after the big box office. So they probably got paid like a normal
Oh,
sum and then
oh,
a
that's
hundred
right.
thousand dollars on top of that. Yeah.
Right,
And
right,
because
right.
of that low kind of bonus that came afterwards,
Oh,
maybe it was
okay.
in their contracts to say they could get some bonus or something if the movie did well. Yeah, they got
Sure.
hardly anything, while Universal pocketed everything else. Yeah.
Well, yes, the joys of commercial mainstream movie making.
So
Mm,
also there was a report that said Universal was interested in proceeding without Kristen Wiig in a sequel, and they would develop a story over the character of Megan, played by Melissa McCarthy. And Melissa McCarthy shot
yeah,
that down straight away as well. She said, "I will not do it without Kristen Wiig and everyone else
yeah,
involved." So
good.
they didn't want to do it as well. And then Paul
Yeah.
Fieg said in 2017 that
Mm,
people always ask for us, this is his quote, people always say they want a sequel to Bridesmaids, but the reason the movie worked is because Kristen's character is a mess and she learned how to repair her life. That's one thing. And then
mm-hmm.
the other thing is that when people ask for sequels, a lot of times they're disappointed because they can't match what's happening
Yeah,
in the original.
yeah.
That could be a possibility as well. But I like to think that if Krista Wiig and her mate Anna Mamumo wrote something,
We're
it could
involved.
still be good.
And especially Judd Apatow, I mean, given that Ace Ventura 2, I believe, was slightly better than Ace Ventura 1, then they
When
probably have a good thing on their hands.
you're a When Nature Calls fan, are you?
Mm, yes. I
I
mean, they're
think
both
that
brilliant.
I think just a segue into that movie a bit. The part where he comes out of the rhino has to be one of the best feats of physical acting I've seen from a movie, comedian movie for sure.
Yeah. It's so funny. I've always had a different opinion on that. Everybody says that the rhino scene is the best thing they've ever seen. I'm not a physical slapstick comedy person. I like um the bridesmaids of the movie world because it's, yeah, I don't know, it's just me. I don't like slapstick physical comedy as much as understated subtle comedy like The Office kind of stuff.
Kind of like the more awkward kind of things, the little
The
awkward
awkward
tones in
comedy.
them,
Yes. Yes.
which Bridesmaids has plenty of.
Yes.
Um, Something the script didn't have, which is kind of interesting, the scene where they are like they had the food poisoning and they all kind of
Yeah.
like just lose
Yeah.
their bowels. That was not in
Yeah.
the original script. That actually came afterwards. So Paul Feig and Judd
Yeah.
Apatow said we need something here to do something, just like give it a little bit of a kind of like an action beat or something. And
Yeah.
it's still the most, I think, the most famous out of all of it. That's probably the
Yeah.
most famous scene out of all of them,
Yeah.
especially for Maya Rudolph. She actually said that back in 2021, people still come up to her and says, "Oh, you're the one that took the shit in the middle of the street."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's really interesting how sometimes it's even the biggest scenes in movies, like these big movies, come out of nothing. Like it's not in the script, but
Yep.
it might be on like on the sets one day, or maybe in the pre-production. Maybe they do a reshoot or something. I think it's really cool
Mm,
how they managed to pull that off in this movie.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's talk about some other great scenes in the film. So we talked about the airplane scene. That's one of them. We
Mhm.
talked about a little bit of the improv, especially like going back and forth. One of my
Mhm.
favorite scenes in the movie as well, which I think Kirsten does well, is the kind of seduction of Chris O'Dowd's policeman character, where he's sitting on the side of the road and she's got the car, she's trying to get his attention and keep going back and forth and doing silly
Yeah,
things all the time. I love
yeah,
that scene. And
love it.
another scene that I thought was pretty fun as well was
Mm.
the scene where, and I mentioned it before, where Melissa McCarthy kind of like is on the couch with Kristen Wiig and kind of like shake some sense into her. I thought that
Yeah,
was a really good kind of dramatic kind of part in the movie,
yeah,
in
yeah.
just what the character needed because Annie was so dour by that point. We needed something to kind of shake
Mm,
her up. She's going to miss her best friend's
mm,
wedding and everything else. She's a maid of honor.
mm,
She's messed up the job. I love that scene as
mm,
well. Is any other
mm.
scenes of yours that from that movie that you really enjoyed?
I really like the scene towards the beginning where she makes the cupcake alone in her kitchen, and she goes through the whole ordeal like she's making it for, for sale, and she goes and she makes it all and it looks absolutely beautiful, and she just looks at it and she just eats it. And it just for me felt like it was quite poignant because it's kind of like here's this beautiful thing, and she's kind of like, well, what do I do now? And then she just eats it, and it's kind of like, well, it's kind of representative of her a little bit because she's got this wasted talent.
Mm.
um yeah, I just liked that scene as well, to give it a little bit of that heart, that bit of a punch of heart and realism in there, because you've got to have uh an underlying reason for the character to be the way that she is, otherwise it's comedy for the sake of comedy. But yeah, no, I really liked that. I thought that was quite interesting. Mm.
I what I really dug about that scene as well is that it's not like she's not a character who didn't try at one point. She took her shot. She
Yeah.
tried to do a passion and it didn't work out.
Mm.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. Um,
Mm.
you have a dream, maybe you have a passion, you have something you really
Yeah.
want to pull off. You
Yeah.
do the thing, doesn't work out, and
Yeah.
you find yourself in a state of, did I just waste all my time on this? And then what do I
Yeah.
do afterwards?
Yeah.
And I think, I imagine as yourself, when I talk to a lot of actors and stuff, the process of like finding roles, doing
Mm.
stuff, you have to deal with a lot of rejection in life and such. I imagine like
Mm.
for a lot of actors and such, especially watching that, or even other artists, whether it be musicians or what have you,
Mm-hmm.
that would be something that will ring true.
Oh, so true. It is so representative of anything, really. You can relate that scene and the underlying tone of the movie to literally any career, anything, any dream that you've ever wanted to have. But acting in particular, because it's one of the hardest industries to break into, in the sense of making a living out of it. Yeah. And I can't
So
tell you how many times I've sat there with my head in my hands going, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this? This is full of shut shut doors and just getting absolutely nowhere and bashing my head against a wall. And that's when I decided to just start doing my own content, because no, it doesn't get handed to you. So yeah, not meaning to go on a different segue, but yeah.
but I think it's important to bring up because that's what the character's all about, really, I think.
Mm,
She kind of gives
mm,
up on herself and she
yep,
kind of devalues herself. When we
yep,
first see her with the John Hamm character, you're kind of thinking, well, he's not a nice guy.
no,
You could kind of get the appeal. John Hamm at that time was on Mad Men. He was like a very kind of like, one of the world's most handsomest guys, what have you, but he's such a douchebag,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and we can all see it. But
yeah.
with someone with extremely low self-esteem, like Annie was going through at the first half of the movie, yeah. And then I love the arc that she starts off with no self-esteem, and then she ends with self-esteem, and she realizes that she is good enough. She is good enough for a nice guy. She is good enough to continue her dream. Yeah, it's a good story arc.
It is. It is. There's a financial aspect to it as well. The whole
Mm,
point. I think the reason why she hates the Helen character more than anything else,
mm,
um, isn't so much that Helen's a bad person. She's like, oh, Helen can be overwhelming, but I wouldn't call her a bad person whatsoever. It's just that Helen comes from a place of means. She can afford things. She can do really cool things.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
I've been broke for like maybe 15 years now, just doing
Yeah,
writing and such. You know, I barely
yeah,
make it through. If I could pay the bills, school
yeah,
fees are good, then I'm good. But it's
yeah,
not like I can splurge on
yeah,
myself or anything.
yeah.
You understand that, like a
Mm,
family friend would say, "Oh, we just went to, so and so for holidays." You're like, "Well, I can't do that because I decided to,
mm.
cover movies and that doesn't pay well.
Yeah,
But I like
yeah,
that I'm doing it, but it doesn't pay well." You
yeah,
can kind of understand that kind of that envy that comes with it,
yeah.
and I think that's what she has in that moment. She is broke. She's almost 30 something, working in a jewelry store next to some hot thing, that
Yeah,
is, she's not getting any commissions whatsoever. She has
yeah,
to move back in with her mum. And then on
yeah.
top of that, like she wants to be the maid of honor and give her friend everything that she can, but she can't compete with this
Mm,
person who can
right.
get everything that she can
Yeah,
whenever she wants to. It's
yeah.
great stuff. It's a great kind of the dynamics between it all is fantastic.
Yeah, and the gaslighting when Helen does the exact shower that Annie wanted to put on, and
Mm.
yeah, it covers a lot of different emotions, doesn't it? And then when she finally has her breakdown at the shower, and hits rock bottom. Yeah.
So supposedly this has been talked about a bit, is that there was a scene in a movie where they all go to a Las Vegas to see a strip show.
Hmm.
Which didn't make the final cut of the movie. The cast actually did this in real life. So to get like together, they
Yeah.
have kind of like a bonding kind of thing. Kristen Wiig like hired a
Yeah.
bus and took order, and so like supposedly, none of them actually ever went to like a male strip show before. So this is like a first
Yeah.
experience for all of them. Quite the
Yeah.
icebreaker, I think,
Oh
to kind
yeah.
of pull that off. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think Mayor Rudolph says that what you say here, prepare for the movie Mexico, which I've never been, and they also say they haven't been to since. So I imagine that it wasn't so much of a the show itself wasn't that good, even though the bonding experience was.
Sure, sure. That would have been a funny scene though to keep in.
It would have. I imagine though, with all the things that were happening with the Brazilian barbecue thing and the throwing up and
Mhm.
everything else, maybe it was just like one extra component of awkward that maybe just wouldn't,
Yeah,
just kind of get in there as well. It was quite a
yeah.
long movie as well. I'm just looking
I
at
was
the
gonna say
runtime
it's
on the back.
already, yeah, quite a long movie.
So 125 minutes, so 2 hours and 5 minutes is the runtime for it. So which is kind
Yeah.
of long for a comedy. Usually it's like
Oh
90-minute
yeah,
time to go with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But
Judd
that's the thing,
Apatow
that's
likes,
the beauty about it. Yeah, you can't tell.
yeah.
You cannot tell that it's a 2 hour movie.
Plus Judd Apatow likes his movies to go long. Like his comedy, I think 40
Mm.
Hour Virgin was also 2 hours. Knocked Up was like over two
Yeah,
hours as well.
you would never.
Um, Did you ever see the movie that Kristen Wiig and Annie Mumolo co-wrote and starring? It came out 5 years ago. Um, so I'm just trying looking it up now.
Mm.
All right, it is called. Excuse me. Why can't I find it now? Okay, it
So
came out in 2021. So it came out
yeah,
during COVID. So it was
yep.
supposed to come in theaters, but went straight to streaming. It's called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. You ever heard of this film?
No.
So they star in it. They
Yeah.
wrote it. It also has I forgot what that bloke's name was from the 50 Shades movies who starred alongside what's her name? Oh, I got to look
Yeah.
this up now.
I
Find
know.
what his
I
name is.
know
Anyway,
these talking about.
so it's pretty much about these two best friends who leave their home of Soft Rock, Nebraska, to go onto vacation to the Vista Del Mar in Florida. So they play these two women, and again, it comes back to the kind of like that awkward kind of style of comedy they do.
Yeah.
It's more Kristen Wiig SNL compared to like what Bridesmaids is, and it has like musical sequences in it and like all types. It's very kind of bright and colorful. Jamie
Okay.
Dornan is the name of the actor who was in it, and
Okay.
supposedly he sings in it as well, and he
Really?
steals the show and such, which I find it's really interesting because
Wow.
in all this time everyone's trying to get them to write something again. Hopefully, it was like Go Bridesmaid
Yeah.
too, and it ends up being this other like movie that has turned out to be a bit of a cult, like a cult film. It came out five
Yeah,
years ago.
right.
Like I said, it didn't come out in theaters because of COVID, but it did actually get really good notices. It was in a bunch of top 10 films at the end of the year. I got a few
Mm.
different accolades from Critics' Choice Awards and other stuff as well for best
Wow.
comedy and such. I haven't seen it myself yet.
No, I'll have
I'm
to see
really
it.
interested to check it out now because just
Yeah.
them two being in it and writing it
Yeah.
sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to check it out.
Definitely have to check it
Mm.
out. Bridesmaids, 15 years on, great movie. What do you
Doesn't
think?
age.
Doesn't age. What do you think? Would you think a sequel will ever come from this? Is it too far gone now?
I think, yeah, I think it's too far gone. Usually if it's, well, usually I think if a sequel is going to come out, 15, 20 years after, it's like those characters kind of like grown up. Or but there's Beetlejuice. That was, mm, I don't know. I
It,
don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think Kristen Wiig has the appetite for it, right? She seems to be doing her own
Yeah.
thing. She's got her own. She's got a show now called Palm Royale, I think it's called. She's
Okay.
wrestling
Yeah.
that. She's written that as well.
Yeah.
It is a shame because I think there was a lot of there was potential there to do something with that character and those characters especially.
Oh,
And
definitely.
it just seems to me that yeah, it could have been something cool. I think because almost every other like Anchorman had a sequel. Hangover had several of them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hangover.
there's a whole. I think it could have been an opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But
Yeah.
the movie on
Yeah.
its own, the first one, like you said, hasn't aged whatsoever.
Oh, no.
It works really
I don't
well,
think it
incredibly
will.
well. No,
Yeah. So I think it just means that you and I will have to write the sequel to it.
I got the, I got the idea. We just need to pitch them. We just got to put a
Yeah,
pitch deck together.
exactly.
You can
Yeah,
act it
let's
out,
do
put
it.
it on Instagram, to
Yep.
get some notices. You know what we should
Yep.
do? You should
Yeah.
write it and then get Corkscrew and Whisk to play the roles of Annie and her
Gen-
friends and get on there. That's what I think you need to do.
Genius. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
So everyone out there listening, if you haven't seen Bridesmaids, don't know what you're doing, watch it. Highly recommended by both Tanya and myself. And also in the show notes, click on Tanya's Instagram. You're gonna love it. I think Tanya, I really love the stuff that you do there. I love the Met Gala one you
Oh,
did recently as well. I don't know how you
yeah,
put
thank
that thing
you.
together.
Yeah.
That outfit there. We don't know who designed it. Well, you did, of course, but yes,
Yeah,
the
because it
person behind
literally
it.
doesn't fit me anymore. And that's what I got the inspiration from. I was like, why are they wearing dresses half pulled up?
Mm,
Yeah, maybe it doesn't fit them anymore.
yeah, that's right. The coat hanger was a really good choice as well. I like
Nice little
that.
touch.
Very cool.
Good, glad you liked it. Thank
But
you.
yeah, I really recommend everyone check it out. The sketch we're talking about, especially recently, the one you did recently of the corkscrew and the whisk. I think it got like 8 million views on Facebook or something like that. That's
It's
crazy
got
awesome.
8.2 million views on Instagram.
That's great.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. And the other one, the Waterloo one, the ABBA one, has got 2 point, nearly 3 million views for that one. It's really interesting what people find funny and entertaining. I think it's because they're short, they're to the point, they're high energy, and it's something different. And I have so much fun making them. So maybe, yeah, and that obviously comes through. It's
And
so
I had
silly.
a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully we can talk again in the future about another movie. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. Loved it.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.